Hello there, Cancer. Thank you so much for stopping by for your monthly tarot video forecast for the month of April. What we're actually looking at here is just one theme or basically one life lesson or one experience that you're going to have during the month of April. This is not meant to be a comprehensive look at the whole month. But what we're going to look at is we're going to look up at that setup for the lesson or the experience itself and what that is, and then what happens as you integrate that lesson or experience into your life. So this is basically called a life cycle. So we're looking at one life cycle that is happening to you during the month of April. We all have several different life cycles that happen at the same time. You can have a family life cycle, a school life cycle, a work life cycle, a romance life cycle, on and on and on. Usually they overlap just a little bit, but basically a life cycle just sets you up to learn something or experience something. And as you integrate that lesson or that experience, then that becomes the seed for the next life cycle that you graduate into. So you have the next lesson or experience. So like I said, this is not supposed to be comprehensive the whole month for you. This is just one life cycle that you'll be hitting during the month of April. I do want to remind everybody that these are general readings, so not everything that I see here is going to apply to every single Cancer. There will be a few out there that none of this applies to you. That does happen sometimes, but there will be, for most of you, I think most of this will apply. And how do you know if it applies? What a great question. You know if it applies if it resonates with you. If you hear me say it and you go, it just, there's a certain feeling that you feel. That's all I can tell you. It resonates. That's what we call that. So anyway, let's just dive right in and look at this life cycle for you that's coming up in April, Cancers. The first thing that I look at is your environment. An environment is a place where you have energy or effort invested. So most times this comes up as home, but I've also seen it come up as work or as school as well. So what we have showing up for your environment is that it really is a great place for you. I feel like you look at your environment and you can see the potential to make it into what you want. It may not be exactly what you want right at the beginning of this life cycle, but you're able to make it into what you want. And I feel like you are going to be working on that, um, working on making your environment more of what you want, more appropriate and suitable for you. The next thing that I look at is your subconscious leanings. I really like what I'm seeing here for you Cancers. Subconscious leanings is telling me that during this particular life cycle, you're feeling very confident about yourself. You're feeling very comfortable in your own skin. You're able to accept your weaknesses, your flaws, your faults. You're also able to accept those things about you that are good and positive as well. Just having a really nice, solid idea about who you are, the good and the bad and everything in between. So that's cool. That's what your subconscious is working with, is acceptance, total acceptance of you. Okay, so then the next thing that I'm looking at talks about two different things actually. This is your learning style and also your communication style. I do feel like during this life cycle you are learning a lot, and for most of you this really doesn't have to do with any kind of formal education. This just has to do with observation and, the school of hard knocks, as they say. Although I don't know that this is necessarily hard knocks, but this is the school of life, just really observing things around you, putting the patterns together, sort of having things figured out based on that. So that's the first thing that I see as your learning style in this particular life cycle. And then as far as your communication, it's interesting. Um, I feel like you are communicating in this life cycle, but it may be that the people that you're communicating with, you may not be hearing back from them so much as you would hope to. I see this actually come up a lot for people who are putting out applications because, everything is so automated and online. So if you're putting out applications for jobs, it may be a while before you hear anything back from anybody. A lot of times people at these companies just look at applications and then they dispose of them if they decide they're not fitting, but you may or may not hear back what their determination was, so you don't know if you're still waiting for them or not. That's kind of what this feels like. Like you're communicating with somebody, but you're not really hearing back from them, or you're just what you are hearing is very minimal. So that's what I have going on as far as communication for this particular life cycle. And then the next thing that comes up talks to me about your work. And for me, you should know that work can come in one of two ways. I think of work as that way that we make a living, but I also think of work as those things that we do to improve our own character. So when I start describing what is coming in about work, you should be looking at, okay, which place does this fit? And in some cases, for some of you, it will fit in both places, but it should fit in one or the other for most of you. Like I said, general ratings, though, I'm not going to say it fits anywhere for all of you. That would be foolish. If we were doing a private reading and I was doing this, but I would say it fits. But since we're doing a general, I can't make that kind of comment here. So anyway, what I have coming up for, as far as work is that you're being very diligent in whatever the work is, whether the work is actually making a living or whether the work is something that you're working on improving about yourself. So being very diligent, showing up to work, doing a good job, making sure that things are done correctly, having a conscientious sense of when you should be working, like when lunch is over, coming back and actually working, you know, all these responsible type attitudes towards work. That's what I see going on here. So if you're working in a business, it's easy to see how that can apply. If you're working for yourself, same thing, pretty easy to see how that would apply. If you're working on yourself, then this is just that whatever change it is that you're trying to make right now, you're being very diligent about your work and trying to make that change. Now, the next thing that I'm looking at is that part of you that's being grown or expanded right now. And this is kind of interesting. I feel like for you Cancers, this is more of a social growth or expansion. So you're spending more time around other people. You're spending more time out socializing. You are getting more comfortable socializing. A lot of times water signs really like to be in quieter settings where there's fewer people or no people because we do pick up so much stuff empathically. But this is showing me that right now you're really getting comfortable with being around a lot of people. The next thing that I'm looking at is those things that you stand for right now. And it looks to me like you're putting up a lot of are these, let's see. It just looks like you're trying to do some kind of protection for yourself. And it may be, this spread may have more to do with business than with anything else. It could also have to do with love. But either way, I feel like you're putting up some protection for yourself. So if it's business, you know, this may be going incorporated, or, you know, there may be some other things that you're doing to protect your assets. If this is more in love, this is kind of putting up those barriers of not being so vulnerable around somebody. But definitely working on protecting assets in one way or another coming up here. That's what you stand up for right now. And if somebody would challenge you on that, you would tell them, hey, this is what I feel like this is appropriate here. So if you don't like it, step off the curb, Jack. All right, so the next thing that I'm looking at is the way other people perceive you right now. And other people right now, when they look at you, they are seeing somebody who is taking a break, basically. That's what that's going to look like from the outside, that you're just kind of putting down your responsibilities, but it seems like it's a very temporary thing whenever they're looking at you from the outside. So temporarily putting down responsibilities. Okay, so the next thing that I'm looking at is the lesson or experience of this life cycle that happens to you in April. Lesson or experience here, what is this talking about? Okay, so I feel like there's some kind of opportunity that comes open for you in April. The catch here is that this is an opportunity that is best handled with multiple people. So it's not something that you really want to do by yourself. And so I feel like you do take the opportunity on, but I feel like you also have some other people come along board to help you with taking on this opportunity. This may be talking about friends. Maybe you're going into business with friends. This could actually be talking about um, partnering with a bank or with somebody like PayPal or Square, somebody that can help you with certain parts of this opportunity. This could be um, vendors where you can buy a website to promote your own product or your service. But anyway, whatever's coming up here is some kind of opportunity. Excuse me. I feel like it's probably a business opportunity for most of you, but for some, it's actually a relationship opportunity. And you are lining up everything and getting all the staff and all the help, all the support, all the vendors in place to and figuring out, okay, how can I make this work? What's it going to take to make this work? Because this is really still the beginning of this opportunity. I don't see you actually rolling it out yet, but just kind of getting all the information and all the bits and pieces together. Now, if this is a love relationship, for those of you that this is a love life cycle that we're looking at instead of a career-based one, then this is talking about um, starting something new with someone. And to me, this feels like a renewal, not so much a new relationship, but a renewal in the old relationship. So something getting better, you guys working on that relationship to make it better. Okay. Now let's see, as we hit the fulfillment of this life cycle, which is where you start integrating this lesson or this experience, what we have is a few things coming up. For one thing, it looks like you've been really restless, whether we're talking about relationship or work. Excuse me, but you've been really restless for a while. I see that coming to an end as you're picking up this opportunity and beginning to put your plans together and work with it. I also see you really narrowing down your focus. So this is telling me that you had really a lot of opportunities to choose from that you could have picked up and started working with, but that now that you've picked up this one, you really want to zone in and focus on this one to really be precise about this, make sure that it works well. So you're not letting yourself be distracted by other opportunities right now. You are really focused on this particular one. Ultimate fulfillment of this, as you're integrating this into your life cycle, is you, one way to say it is taking a stand for yourself, but I don't know that that necessarily conveys the right idea for you guys for this particular life cycle in April Cancer. I feel like this is more about um, stepping into your place. So this is like, if you can imagine back in the old days, whenever there was a lot of kings that were in power, sometimes a king would lose the throne and somebody would hold the throne after the king passed for the king's son to come up, somebody that was loyal to that king who had passed away. So they would hold the throne and they would actually rule the kingdom while the son grew up. So maybe the son was like a toddler whenever the king passed. So now when the son grew up, then he was supposed to step up and actually take the throne, take the leadership of the country and move forward. This is kind of what I'm seeing here, that you are stepping up. It's like you've been getting ready for this and now you're stepping up into your power. So to me, this really, I gotta say, this really to me talks about a lot of you doing your own thing as far as career-wise, maybe starting your own business or doing something even on the side. For some of you, this won't be full-time. For a few of you, it will, but for a lot of you, this is going to be something on the side. But I do see stepping up and taking your place. So to me, this is saying that a lot of you have been thinking about this for a long time and sort of holding back. Maybe you didn't feel like you were good enough or you thought you needed more experience. Now you're hitting that stride where you're saying, you know what, it's time for me to get out there. And so that's you stepping up, stepping into your place, stepping in as that business leader, stepping in as that service provider, whatever it is you're doing that you didn't really have the confidence to do before, I see you just walking into that now towards the end of this life cycle coming up in April. Okay, so that is your tarot forecast for the month of April. I want to thank all of you so much for stopping by, hanging out, liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. I do appreciate all of your support, guys. Everyone have a fantastic month. I'll see you here next time. Peace out.